Greetings and welcome to the Political Ferret Show. Today we're gonna talk about the question, can we all be rich and can we all become rich? And I would argue, yes, we could. But before we can start to that, we have to talk about what I mean with rich. Nowadays there are a lot of people on this earth and some of them, very few of them of course, are rich. Can we all be as rich as them? Can we all live like they live with all the yachts and Porsches and so on? No, but we could all live as the rich lived 100 years ago. And this is pretty much the interesting idea, because this is also still rich and would be an improvement over how a lot of people live today. And what do I mean with that? Well, that everybody has a toilet. Is this possible? Yes. Absolutely, but to understand why it is possible and why it is not happened right now, we have to figure out what we do and what we not do. In the past, everybody tried to produce pretty much what he needed. This means that pretty much all of us were hunters, gatherers or farmers. So in the end, if we go a little bit in the abstract, everybody analyzed what he really needed. And this is not all the same for all the people, because some people think that they need more than others. So then people, after they analyzed what they really need, they try to produce exactly that plus a little bit more, just to be sure. The interesting part of history began when some people figured out that they are very good in something and that they can produce a lot of this stuff, way more than they needed. This of course started when they started to produce more and more and more for reserve for bad times. You see this behavior especially in regions where it was not so sure that you would survive the winter if you produced the same amount of grain as you did in the last year. So people of course produced more and more, and there was a surplus. At a certain point there were so much surplus that some other people said, I do not have to produce food anymore. I can produce marbles, stones for building, and others says I could produce hunting gear for hunting, and some other people say, yeah, I could produce toilets. And this is the key of it all. The key is that some people started to produce way more than they needed. And this is the key to the whole issue. Of course, some of this stuff went to waste. And this is one of the things the communists pretty much pointed out, that in capitalism a lot of stuff go to waste because you do not find somebody who wants this stuff. And this is considered as not very efficient. And this is true if you just observe it from this perspective. But in the end, we live on the same planet. If we produce something out of steel, then there is still the steel there. You can reforge it, you can do something else with that. There is not a lot of things that go to waste on this planet. There are, certainly, but most of the stuff stays there. And this behavior, this idea to produce more than you really need so that you can buy other things that others produce, is in sharp contrast to this idea of I produce only what I need. I work as hard as that I can buy, but I will not work more. And this is the thing. A normal society is only that. This is the primitive society is only that. You work so that you have enough to survive. But if you start to do more than that, there is slowly, and the emphasis here is definitely on slowly, there is slowly building up a pyramid of things that are nice to have but not essential. And that's the key problem. These things are not essential. So does this mean that this whole pyramid is art and music and dancing and so on? Of course not. It's only a part of that is entertainment, making computer games and so forth. So there's people who say, oh, I love my job, everything is so great. No, a lot of people here work in fields that they do not really have a love for. They just do it. It's just another job for them. But those things are not essential for bare survival. People do not go to their job and create automotive on their computer so that somebody can produce it then in a factory because that's their passion. This is something that some left-wingers often say and say, oh, there's every job, there are people who have a passion for that. This is wrong. These are just jobs, but they are not essential for bare survival. The problem is, in a crisis, this pyramid gets a lot of holes because these jobs are not essential. The computer gaming sector is not essential. Yes, it is a $1 billion market right now, but if shit hits the fan, it will break down because it is not essential. But that's not really a problem. Parts of this go away, but parts of it come back, grow back, and normally the pyramid ends up being greater than before. This is normal. So that's the thing. It is a philosophy, a basic philosophy. Do you produce only as much as you really need? Because if you drive this mindset, the problem is that in some years you will produce less because of bad luck or bad planning or something else happens. This is a recipe for being poor. If you, on the other hand, produce way more with what you can do, then you have a large surplus. Yes, some of these things will go to waste. Absolutely true. This is absolutely true. But there is more stuff around that can work, can be interchanged, and can be built upon. So what is the main difference here? Well, those people who work only for the bare minimum, they do not work as much often. So there are of course people who have too little to live and too much to die and work 70-hour shifts. True. That's absolutely true. But in the average, if you are just some little farmer somewhere in Neverwhere, you work about 15 hours a week. It's not way more. On the other hand, if you live in an industrialized nation, the chances are that you work 40 hours a week. And it does not mean that this happens only to the high IQ people, something that the ethno-nationalists so often point out. No, only the stupid people over here work 50 hours per week and produce more than they need for their bare survival. It is more a culture thingy than anything else. So is it possible that we all could have a toilet? Absolutely yes. Yes, I'm fully convinced that this would be the case. We all could achieve that, but this would mean that we work all way more hours, and with us I mean the third world. If the third world would start to adopt this capitalistic idea of you produce not only as much to come by, but you produce as much as is possible, then we all could be rich. The solution is not that those who already do that transfer our surplus over there. That's not the solution. The solution is that everybody adopts that. Will this lead to a situation that we burn down the planet, that we lose all the fossil energy and so on? I do not think so, because the market will fix that. If the fossil fuels become short, they become expensive and we go over to new things. And we will not run out of iron, because if you forge the iron, you can reforge it. You can pretty much recycle all the materials on the planet. So is it possible that we all become rich? Yes. Based on these definitions, it is. Will it happen? I'm not so sure. But tell me what you think about it in the comment section. Like, share and subscribe. And have a wonderful day.